Hi guys, Brain here, and welcome to another commentary video. I know it's kind of being a little bit funny, a little bit facetious there, but in all seriousness, the best way to avoid toxicity in the Dead by Daylight community is to simply opt out, to simply not participate. Sometimes the best things you can do to win a game is to not participate at all. And that is something that I've noticed the Dead by Daylight community particularly has a trouble with. I'm sure you've been on DBD social media, usually on DBD Twitters where you usually see this, of people just posting their angry after game chats, whether they're the ones instigating or they're getting instigated against. And the posts are usually very grandiose. They're very much like, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe this person said this. Wow, this community is so terrible and so awful and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like a lot of people get very, very doom and gloom about this and kind of go down a very, very negative route, because then they assume that the whole Dead by Daylight community is toxic, and furthermore, kind of as we've talked about in other videos, start saying it's like, oh, this is the most toxic gaming community that has ever existed, which is clearly not true, and kind of start taking it way, way, way too much to heart. So we're going to talk about avoiding that, because it really can be that simple, and kind of who falls under what category that should do this. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it. So this is going to be very, very similar to a discussion that we've had in many different reacts and many different videos, where we talk about a majority factor having to do with, should I make this decision of should I just like not engage and just turn off the after chat? When we've had this discussion before in terms of playing Dead by Daylight and actually quitting the game or finding something else to do entirely, I always say that if you enjoy the game 60-70% of the time, you should stick with the game and still keep playing it. And the negative things that you experience aren't that big of a deal, because, well, not everything is going to be wonderful and amazing. Even some of your favorite games of all time, there's going to be certain levels or certain strategies that you just don't find fun. And even your favorite game of all time, even if it's a multiplayer game, there's just going to be bad matches. And there's going to be bad things that happen that you're not particularly a fan of, and that's totally fine and normal. However, I've always encouraged people that if you are only enjoying the game 30% of the time, if you are even more than 50% not enjoying your experience in Dead by Daylight, you kind of particularly don't enjoy this game, and I would not encourage you to continue playing this game past a point of not even having majority enjoyment. It's kind of a similar situation with the turning off the after chat thing, because some people, you just have thick skin, and no matter what happens, no matter what people say, and that kind of person that can take all this stuff on the chin and not really have it affect them, have it go water off their back, those are the kind of people that can have after chat on. I know I don't mind having very, very toxic and very, very negative after chats, because I stream Dead by Daylight at twitch.tv/the Mr. Headache. I don't mind having toxic after chats because it's free content. I find it funny when I can put that stuff on full screen and show it off for everybody, and we could all laugh together, 30-40 people laughing at this person that's just being relentlessly mean for no discernible reason. It's free content, it's free stuff. And I know there are people, unfortunately, there are people that make entire content channels based around people being toxic and exposing people being toxic, or just covering people being toxic. It's a whole category in the Dead by Daylight community of entertainment that you have for you. So, especially for content creators, negative after chats, toxic after chats can actually be very, very helpful and beneficial to you. But like with the example of people actually continuing to play Dead by Daylight or quitting Dead by Daylight, I feel like if you're one of those people that negative after chats get to you really bad, if you experience a lot of toxicity in after chats and you internalize that and you have a bad time and it makes you feel like garbage over 50% of the time, I think it's about time you just turn that thing off. And I've gotten to that point with a different game that I'm going to cover here, and I'm sure those of you who stuck with the channel a while know what I'm about to talk about, and that is good old Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Siege is an FPS shooter, which is mostly focused on objectives over just like the run and gun that Call of Duty focuses on, which makes it way, way, way more complex. But despite the fact of the gameplay being exceptionally fun compared to other FPSs, at least in my opinion, it's my favorite shooter I've ever played, besides maybe Black Ops 2 in like its heyday. Rainbow Six Siege has always been there for me. That's always been my favorite. But unfortunately, no matter how much fun the gameplay is, it unfortunately has one of the for realsies, has one of the worst gaming communities out there. I said this in a different React video, but it was quite literally a daily occurrence almost every match to hear some sort of slur, and if it wasn't a slur, it was somebody being just an absolute bully, just absolutely condescending piece of garbage. Like, no matter almost every game of Rainbow Six Siege that I had, somebody was being condescending, somebody was being rude. Even if I was not the target of said, toxicity, someone in my match was getting it. somebody in the match was getting it, whether it be my team versus their team amongst each other, my team amongst each other. Somebody was getting some sort of harassment that was not fair and not very nice almost every single game. It was more often and more rare that I'd have a game that didn't have toxicity in the after chatter and the voice chat than in the norm with the actual normal stuff, which was the toxicity almost every single game. Now, usually I have a pretty thick skin when it comes to that sort of stuff. Like I said, usually on Dead by Daylight, I just kind of put that stuff on full screen, let people laugh. But Rainbow Six Siege players seems to make it very, very personal or very, very like kind of existentially bad, because usually they're either homophobic, racist, ableist, like the list goes on. So that's a little bit more of a real life problem that gets existential really quickly. So it kind of hit me harder than Dead by Daylight after chats do. So what I did is I made the mature and wise choice that, hey, this seems to affect me in this game more than does other games. Toxicity in the after chats and the voice chat of Rainbow Six Siege affects me a little bit more than it does other games. So I took the responsible choice, and I turned off text chat and I turned off voice chat. Now, Rainbow Six Siege is a game that needs those a lot more, so that is me literally nerfing myself on purpose. But overall, I found myself miserable most of the time I was playing the game, and it was solely because of the text and voice aspect and the things people would say and do with that. So I just wasn't having a good time with the game, and it was solely because of that. So the natural response and the simplest response is to just cut yourself out of that. And I don't think Dead by Daylight players do that. I feel like they just power through and just feel miserable when you literally can just turn this stuff off. By the way, somebody in one of these videos said that, like, wow, I played Rainbow Six Siege for years and I only get like one bad thing said every once in a while. Like, do you also play with after chat off? Do you play with voice off or after chat off? Like, how is that possible? Because I've played Siege for a very long time. I've played it for like 2 or 3 years, and I've never had this situation that you have had where, like, oh wow, I just went a really long time without somebody saying something off the wall, unless you just don't consider certain awful things. I don't know. That was a weird take. YouTube comments can be really something sometimes. But now I really, really enjoy that game. I really like firing it up and just chilling because, well, the main thing that bothered me about it just no longer exists, and it's just no longer a thing. So I just get to enjoy the fun gunplay, the fun objective-based gameplay, the fun gadgets that make me enjoy the game in the first place, because the part of it that I hated is now gone. Sure, am I playing with a little bit of an uphill battle because I don't have comms mid-game? Yeah, but like, I'm way happier playing the game now, which obviously is something you don't have to worry about in the game of Dead by Daylight because you don't have comms mid-game. Which is, by the way, another reason that people kind of advocate to not have voice chat in Dead by Daylight. I know a lot of people really, really want that. They're like, voice chat in Dead by Daylight needs to be inside the game. That way people can stop complaining about Discord cheaters. It's like, look at other games that have voice chat and you'll see why that's potentially kind of scary. And I know console players don't have after chat built in naturally, but you do have that situation where people can reach out and DM you directly, giving you toxicity. Obviously, you guys should also turn that off if you're one of those people that gets more affected by toxicity. Just make sure people can't reach out and do that to you, because like that's almost practically the same thing. If anything, that worries me a bit more because it's not as convenient. Obviously, a lot of people that are toxic in DBD after chat do it because of the convenience of the after chat box. But if you're doing it on console, if you're reaching out to DM somebody to be angry, there's a little bit more intent there, which is a little bit more scary. So I would almost argue that if toxicity affects you and you're one of those people that can't handle it as well, if you're on console, you should probably be a little bit more vigilant about keeping those DMs out. Yeah, do you guys think that people should take advantage of turning off the after chat, or do you think people should just grow thicker skin? By the way, if you think that, you're kind of weird, but hey, it's your free will to think whatever you want, even if it's a terrible, awful, disgusting take. But anyways, either way, let's have a nice little talk about it down in the discussion in the comments below. Well, that's gonna be it for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching, but I do upload daily, so I will see you tomorrow. But if I do not, I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.